Picture this. It's 1600 and a small wooden ship leaves London's harbour. On board, not just sailors, but the seeds of what would become the world's most powerful financial empire. But here's the twist nobody talks about. That ship was sailing toward a fortune built on something far darker than anyone wants to admit. Let me take you on a journey through time. Because the story of how London became the king of global finance, it's not what they teach you in textbooks. Imagine you're standing in the smoky backrooms of London in the late 1600s. Wealthy merchants are gathered around tables covered in maps of distant lands, India, Africa, the Caribbean. They're not just planning trade routes, they're designing a machine that would print money for centuries. The East India Company, founded in 1600, wasn't just a business, it was a weapon. And by the mid-1700s, this single company controlled half of all world trade. Cotton from India, silk that shimmered like moonlight, tea that would define British culture, and opium. Oh, the opium that would flood China and birth fortunes beyond imagination. But where did all this wealth go? Follow the golden trail with me. In 1694, something extraordinary happened. The Bank of England was born, and it was hungry for gold. And where did that gold come from? Ghana, African soil, African sweat, African blood. That gold backed the British pound and turned it into the world's most trusted currency. Every coin, every note, carried the weight of empires conquered and people enslaved. Now, walk with me to the docks. Lloyd's Coffee House, 1688. Men in powdered wigs sip coffee and make bets, not on horses, but on human lives. They're underwriting ships, slave ships, cargo ships loaded with stolen goods from stolen lands. This coffee house would become Lloyd's of London, one of the world's most prestigious insurance markets. But its foundation, built on insuring human cargo shackled in darkness below deck. The money kept flowing. The London Stock Exchange rose from these rivers of colonial wealth. Indian cotton textiles funded its expansion. Buildings rose, ornate, magnificent, declarations of power carved in stone. But if those walls could talk, they'd whisper stories of the millions who suffered to make them possible. Here's where it gets even more twisted. The East India Company became so powerful, it didn't just trade, it ruled. It had its own army, it collected taxes. It was a corporation that became a government. And when it needed cash, it would simply borrow from the Bank of England, creating this circular flow of colonial money that seemed endless. They even forced opium into China, creating millions of addicts, sparking wars, and birthing new banks like HSBC from the ashes of that misery. And the slave trade? Don't even get me started. The Royal African Company, backed by the wealthy elite of the City of London, shipped hundreds of thousands of Africans across the Atlantic. The profits? Poured into golden guineas, into grand estates, into the very infrastructure of London itself. Every cobblestone in certain streets was practically laid with blood money. But here's what's fascinating and deeply troubling. This wasn't just theft, it was a system. A brilliant, horrifying system that transformed raw exploitation into sophisticated financial instruments. Bills of exchange, letters of credit, insurance contracts, stock certificates. These tools of modern finance were perfected through the empire's machinery. Now fast forward with me through the centuries. The empire falls. India gains independence in 1947. African nations break their chains through the 1960s. The Caribbean islands find their voices. The British Empire crumbles like ancient parchment. So surely, London's financial dominance should have crumbled too, right? Wrong. And this is where our story gets really interesting. Before I reveal what happened next, and trust me, you won't believe how London not only survived but thrived. Hit that like button if you're finding this as mind-blowing as I did when I discovered it. Subscribe, because in the second part, I'm going to show you how London is still the #1 financial centre in the world in 2026. Despite everything. And the secrets to how they did it, they'll shock you. Drop a comment telling me, did you know about these dark origins of London's wealth? Let's talk about it. Now, let's continue this incredible story. So the empire collapsed, but London had learned the ultimate magic trick, how to make wealth regenerate itself without needing colonies anymore. Let me show you how they pulled off the impossible. It's 2026 right now, and here's the jaw-dropping reality. London just claimed the top spot as the world's leading financial centre for the 6th year in a row. Not New York, not Singapore, not Shanghai. London. How does a city from a middle-sized island nation with no empire anymore beat economic superpowers? Here's the secret they don't want you to see clearly. Those colonial networks? They never really disappeared. They just evolved. Think about it. All those relationships built over centuries, the legal systems imposed on colonies, the banking connections, they became something new. London transformed from a colonial master into a global connector. Genius, really. Terrifying, but genius. Walk through the city of London today with me. Every year, $2 billion in foreign investment floods in, creating 15,000 jobs. The banks that once financed colonial exploitation now manage wealth from oil-rich nations, petrodollars. From the Middle East, flowing through the same institutions that once counted slave profits. The expertise in moving money, hiding money, growing money, all those skills perfected through empire, they're now services sold to the whole world. And here's something that should make you pause. Those tiny islands, like the British Virgin Islands, the Cayman Islands, still British territories, still serving as tax havens where trillions of dollars hide from scrutiny. The colonial satellites remain, just with different purposes. London remains the spider at the center of this web, benefiting from financial flows that, let's be honest, often include money that probably shouldn't be moving so secretly. But it's not all smooth sailing for London. Brexit hit hard, like a self-inflicted wound. Foreign companies listing fewer stocks on London exchanges. Assets under management declining. The internet speed is embarrassingly slow for a supposed tech hub, threatening their artificial intelligence ambitions. New York is breathing down their neck. Shanghai is rising like a dragon in the east. The competition is fiercer than ever, yet London keeps fighting with the weapons it forged in its imperial past. That common law system they spread everywhere? It makes London courts trusted globally for settling disputes. The time zone? Perfect. Bridging Asian markets in the morning, American markets in the afternoon. The language barrier, non-existent when English is the world's business language, thanks to, you guessed it, the empire. In 2026, London leads in sustainable finance and fintech. They're pivoting, reinventing, staying ahead. Green finance, Islamic finance, blockchain innovations, they're betting on the future while standing on foundations built centuries ago. It's like watching someone build a gleaming new house on top of a graveyard and pretending the bones beneath don't matter. Now let me show you what's coming. Economists project London's economy will grow 1.7% in 2026 and 2.1% in 2027. Bank lending is rebounding as interest rates fall. They're pushing reforms for startups, offering research and development credits, trying to recapture that innovative spark that once came from having the world's resources at their fingertips. But here's the truth. Nobody wants to say out loud, London's dominance still carries the DNA of its colonial past. The wealth management expertise, honed managing fortunes built on exploitation, the risk assessment models, perfected on ensuring human cargo, the global networks, grown from imperial tentacles. You can rebrand it, modernize it, digitize it, but the roots remain. And that's what makes this story so complex, so uncomfortable, so important. Because London's success isn't just a triumph of finance and innovation. It's also a reminder that historical injustices don't just disappear. They transform, they compound, they echo through centuries in ways we're still living with today. The future of London. It's a battle between maintaining dominance and facing historical accountability, between innovation and legacy, between the gleaming skyscrapers of Canary Wharf and the shadows of ships that left those docks centuries ago. Will London remain number one? Probably, at least for the near future. They've proven remarkably resilient, remarkably adaptive. But the question we should all be asking isn't just, will London stay on top? The real question is, at what cost did they get there, and who's still paying that price? The money flowing through London today, through its banks, its markets, its exchanges, it carries stories. Stories of triumph and tragedy, of brilliance and brutality. Of a city that built a financial empire on the backs of actual empires and somehow convinced the world to keep playing by rules it wrote centuries ago. That's the untold story of London's financial dominance. From colonial plunder in 1600 to financial supremacy in 2026, a 426-year journey that's far from over. The empire fell, but the emperor's clothes, they just got more expensive. If this story opened your eyes to something you never knew, do me a favor. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. Hit subscribe so you don't miss our deep dives into the hidden histories that shape our world today. And drop a comment. Do you think London's financial dominance is justified? Or is it time for a real reckoning with the past? I want to hear your thoughts because this conversation, it's just beginning. The City of London stands today, powerful as ever. But now you know the whole story, the glory and the ghosts. And that knowledge, that changes everything.